Good morning, ma'am.
Very good morning.
This is Pampa. You know me very well, so they know.
Of course.
I don't want to introduce
Who
myself.
doesn't know Pampa Chaudhary?
So, since I'm doing this education leadership course from Cambridge, and here comes one assignment where I need to get a guidance from a veteran leader. So, the first name whom I could think of is you. So, therefore, want to
Delighted.
know a few things about you and
Sure.
how do what is your idea about leadership. So, the first question is, how do you define successful school leadership?
I think to put it short, success first of all is defined in something which is achieved. Which you have a concept and you achieve that concept. So successful leadership, I would put it as when all the stakeholders, which means the parents, the children whom you are giving this education, the principal of course, the management, and all put together are in a kind of a win-win situation. There's something which the leader had in the mind, and then the leader put all tools and techniques in place, and then that whatever in the mind was achieved. I think that is success. And successful leadership would be obviously putting people also, machines and material together to make something which is achievable, and it's eventually achieved, which eventually acts as a win-win situation for all
Sure.
stakeholders. So to me, that is the concept of successful leadership.
Fine, good enough, ma'am. So the next question would be, can you please describe your journey to being a successful school leader? We already consider you as a very successful school leader, as much
Right.
as I know you and
Right.
others know you as well.
Okay.
So what is, if you can describe it, how did you reach this place?
Okay.
Because you are a successful leader.
Okay. So I'll tell you this way. I began my career in 1979, which is almost some 36 years from now. So I began my career in certain part of the city or certain part of the country, which we call as the West. Right. So it's in Mumbai. I was born and brought up there. I began my career there, and I not only began my career, but I also got myself educated there. My schooling was there and colleging, and then eventually the same college where I passed out from, I kind of became a lecturer there. Began my journey as a lecturer of my subject, which is biology. So almost 9 years I did teach, hardcore teaching undergrads, not the children, bigger children who was very different cup of tea altogether. So all the time we were on our toes to see that information is latest, because it was not of administration, but it was more of disseminating the information, knowledge. So I spent that, and I was found myself very, very interested because I was pretty young and I was teaching young crowd. So our rapport was beautiful and instant. After that, I went to the east part of the country, which is Kolkata. I went there, and there I had an entire paradigm shift from teaching hardcore lecture to being a principal of a school. So there I spent almost 20 years in two schools I headed there. And that's where my journey of administration started. So I started looking at teaching is one thing, but administering everybody together, a group of teachers, group of children, parents, meeting their demands is another cup of tea altogether. So not only did I not got to know my subject, but I got to know all other subjects as well. Because unless you don't know, you may not be the master. You can be the jack of all trades. That's what you're supposed to be. And so I started knowing what is history all about when I'm a science person. What is the math all about when I'm a science person. So it brought in that kind of reality to me that all the subjects are so different and yet they're connected. Now how do I show those connections to my teachers? How do I get them? So that plus every city has its culture. So I had to adopt and adapt from one city and one culture to another city and another culture, which was very, very exciting. I thought that was the beautiful part of my experience. So culture of people, the mindset of people, then to deliver under the usual material, but deliver in a different culture, in a different medium, and then to control it thereafter, which was what administration is about. I thought that was one of the best years of my career, because in those years I started schools from sometimes a scratch. One school was ready made, but one school I started, it's completely started. So I thought starting is another skill. It's not about just a running school, But starting from the scratch to putting people in the place to starting something new and exciting was amazing. It's an amazing experience. So that was the that was the east. So west, east. Now I'm from the north, so I know the north culture. I've been there in and out, so I know how the mind works there. So that's part of my genes. And then I came to south, where I'm right now, which is Hyderabad. Now in the south, this is almost my 9th year now, I found another kind of culture. I joined schools again as a principal. I'm working here, but I found that the same matter which worked in the east, which probably worked in the west, does not work in the south. So I had to fine tune myself and said, okay, now what works best in south? So therefore I changed myself. I learned from situations and I applied that. And then it worked wonders again, because certain basic things are same, but some things are different.
Can you give an example, ma'am?
In the south, it's more of academic orientation, very very academic from the parents' part also, because there's certain careers which they want in their kids, and there's no compromise as far as they are concerned. So they put their children in very rigorous kind of an environment. They have to study very hard, and they have to do that, and there's no time for frills. Whereas I used to call the frills as areas of holistic development, but these people call it as frills out here. It's not so necessary, not so important. But what is more important is academics. So, knowing fully well that today's child wants other things as well to be a balanced person, and how do you convince the parents that these are not frills, these are requirements to make a child more holistic? So that needed a lot of fine tuning, a lot of, I would say, defreezing of the minds of people. Say this is fine, it's okay if the child doesn't get into IIT, it's okay if the child doesn't get into this, but the child today can get into something else which is equally important. And excellence, anywhere you get it, excellence is required. Mediocrity doesn't work nowadays. So to put these things across to the parents was a task here. And of course, the teachers are also glorified parents, I would say. So it was again a double task, because even their mindset had to be changed. So using that skill which I got from the west, to the skill which I already have built up in terms of the north, to the skill which I try to adopt now of the east, and then put it in the south, I've thought not bad, it works, because there's certain something which you have picked up along the way, and it's that certain something which you kind of use it from your reservoir. You take it out and say, okay, bingo, this works, and if it works, I keep on polishing it. If it doesn't work, take it out, put the next skill in. Okay, this works. This was a learning experience again. As I said, there is no end to that. So I put A plus B plus C plus D together, and I think that works best now in the south. So now I feel it's like east, west, north, south for me personally. This is my 36th year, I think, and over these years I feel it's so completing for my own self. It means that there's no other direction left now that I can go to unless I repeat. And I think it's quite an experience which, why not share it? Why not adopt it, and why not help somebody else who is struggling to say, okay, I think this worked for me, I also tried because you're here.
So culture is something you say that it is important to know the culture.
Very important. Not only culture. Culture, of course, relates to mindset. The mindset is the outcome of something which you have to deal with as a leader in education. Yes, definitely. And rest of the things are minor, but according to me, the mindset of people, the mindset of the kids whom we are delivering the goods is very important. And the psychology of the whole thing is the most important.
Most important.
Then you adopt yourself, and it works. It really works.
It works.
It works.
Good. Okay. So, do you consider leadership qualities as inherited traits, or they can be acquired? And if so, why?
Both ways. I think it's partially inherited as well, and of course it can be definitely acquired because you do your trainings and honing of the skills. Inherited, I'll tell you why, because in my career I've come across a lot of teachers, a lot of people who are, despite being trained, despite being in the best circumstances, they basically are not good learners. They basically, no matter how qualified they are, they're not able to give out that which is required. I would say the emotional quotient is slightly low. So they're not able to give that out. I would attribute that to genes. I would attribute it to genetics of the
And
person.
being a biology person, certainly you would say that.
Absolutely. I mean, it's something I've broken my head against the wall sometimes with some people, and I found that why are they not changing? There's certain things they couldn't change. Then I found that they're not doing it deliberately. It's in they're wired like that, where they cannot deliver it in the way it should be. Well, there are others who will be very less qualified, maybe nothing, but then they're such good teachers. They're such good people who can come forward and in a jiffy they can portray what somebody took hours to deliver. So that I would contribute to their inner self. The other is, okay, you may be not qualified or you may be very qualified, but you require polishing. And that polishing comes from the outside, which is doing courses, doing seminars, doing workshops, forever getting on to being contemporized. Otherwise, you lose out on certain things which may not be an inner quality completely. So the answer is, it's a mixture of both.
Okay, very good. Okay. So, what is the most important leadership role expected of a school leader in the Indian context?
The most important leadership role.
Yes.
I think leading, being a good role model first of all.
Okay.
My experience has told me that unless you don't do something and you tell your people to follow, doesn't work.
It
Doesn't work. You might have forced followers, but eventually it kind of withers out. So my leadership would be to be there, to be a role model, and if you start something, be a part of that thing.
Be a part of it. That's
Right? Be a
Yes.
part, delegate. Delegate, a lot of people don't know how to delegate because
Yeah.
once the power comes into their hands, they feel leadership is power. And then they become so isolated from the reality because the rest of them are without power and it's only one person holding power, and that power is kind of useless
Useless.
for that person. So, in a very nutshell, I would say the leadership that we require nowadays, of course, is transformational. It's fine, that's just a word, but in reality, it has to be with people, be with the people, understand their pulse,
Yeah.
and then get on to taking them forward.
That's right.
It works.
So, delegation, as you said, that if you have to delegate, according to
Totally.
their abilities and interest as well.
Plus, even empower them.
Yes.
Get you a little bit of power out of yourself and transfer that power, which is called empowerment. You find it works. It'll work with wonders.
I think they take their responsibility also, very happily if you
Absolutely.
actually,
Yes.
give some powers to them.
Some
Okay,
power.
you are.
To the most ordinary person, you give little power.
Yeah.
Trust me, the ordinary becomes extraordinary. And your
That's
work
well
is
said.
done.
Truly. Yeah, I do. I have experienced this as well. Yeah. So, how do you ensure that students receive the highest quality of instructions in your organization?
I would bring it down to my teachers.
Yeah.
Because they are the ones who actually transfer the instructions. I wouldn't say that the children should have the best classroom, best teaching aids, and then the highest quality will come. If the teacher is mediocre, everything, nothing matters. So I focus on the teachers, the people who are going to deliver the goods. So for that, I would say use entire of my resources to first get this teacher trained, empowered, capable, and contemporary.
Yeah.
And then the teacher makes a difference to the kind of curriculum you want to be delivered, or the kind of the quality that you want to be delivered is only up to the teacher.
So how do you ensure it? Like, in the beginning of the academic year, there are trainings. That's when you share the vision also that this is what you are going to do
Right.
in the next academic year. And after that, how do you ensure that it is really happening in the classroom?
Yeah, periodic. We have a system of appraisals. So appraisal doesn't mean just taking a paper and pen and then telling a teacher how bad you are.
That's right.
But it means going and visiting their classrooms, and then there is the other hierarchical structure in every school. You have the principal, the vice principal, then the headmistresses, then some coordinators and stuff. You have to delegate that kind of a system in that they also visit.
Yeah.
They also give you the feedbacks at certain levels. You take the feedback at some other level. And therefore putting all the levels together, and then the feedback from the individual themselves. That okay, I think you have done this was a wonderful thing, but this could have been a little better, a little feedback system. Twice at least in a year.
Yeah.
Because it's difficult when you have something like 150 teachers
That's right.
and you need to, kind of give them no. but at least twice a year, and it would also lead to their appraisals.
Yeah.
It would also lead to their not false claim that I'm the best teacher, but you might have been truly claiming yourself to be a best teacher.
That's right.
And the 360 degrees feedback from the kids,
Hmm.
not the very small ones because they're not too
young
mature.
for it, yes.
Matured kids to give you a small information which may be not direct but indirect,
Hmm.
you can transform,
Hmm.
is another angle to assessing the teacher.
Okay.
So, to assess a teacher, first you have to train the teacher,
Hmm.
first you're trained. But then eventually, after training, to know whether the teacher is delivering the goods or not
Hmm.
in the right manner,
Hmm.
there are systems and checks and measures which you have to do
Okay.
continuously over the year.
Okay, so suppose I find that no, this particular system is not working. The teachers are not able to deliver what you thought in the beginning.
Right.
So what do you do at that?
Adjust the whole thing. You know that this didn't work, you're very sure. Then you have to do it again. You have to change yourself.
So do you wait for the end of the academic year to do that, or
No,
why?
no. As I said, it's something like twice
Yeah.
we measure.
Hmm.
There is a certain benchmarking.
Hmm.
If you find that is not achievable by the middle of the year,
Yeah.
guess then you'll have to fine tune
Yes.
certain policies and methodologies to say this is not working. And again, if it's not working for 20%, that is not the real sign. If it's not working for 80%,
That's where
I think that's where you've got to know that yes, something is wrong. 20%, I would say, we rather change the minds of those 20% to adopt
instead of
this,
changing the policy.
instead of changing the entire system.
Okay. So, which leadership qualities do you think the team appreciates most?
I'll tell you very personally about myself.
Yeah.
My sense of humor. I find humor
Ah.
dissolves the most tensed situations. It just dissolves it. And not only for the person who's at the other end of the fence, but the one also on the opposite side of the fence, also it's a dissolving situation. It's a very humbling, humbleizer between the two people or group of people versus one person. In most conflicting situations, I have used humor. And trust me, the moment I felt everybody is smiling and laughing, I felt my half battle is won. The other half now I have to get to the point before the laugh and the smile gets dissolved. So I add a little more humor. I also found my colleagues telling me that, ma'am, we were very angry with this, that and the other, but then when you said this, it was okay. It was not that bad looking, you see. Vis-a-vis my colleague who said it with a lot of authority and all, we didn't like that. I said the same thing, what some other colleague might have said. They didn't like that, they liked this. Why? This is not by force, this was in humor. I find this is one quality which I think if you don't have, please have it. Please cultivate it. It melts a lot of things. It melts a lot of problems. But humor does not mean silly jokes.
That's right.
Humor does not mean stupidity, making yourself a joker. No. Humor means very subtle wits which you adapt to a situation. It cannot mean that I'm going to talk about films right now in the middle of an academic matter and that's called humor. No. That people once or twice will smile. But after that they'll find that I think this person is ridiculous. So I mean that really that hardcore humor which separates the silliness from the hardcore reality. The thin line is very difficult to perceive that unless you are wearing that shoes of
That's
humor.
right.
The wits, the quickness, the thing about okay, I have a situation here, now I have to do this. Now everything may not be humor related. Doesn't mean everything is humor. No, but wherever it can afford. So basically I think it springs from creativity. You have to be a very intuitive person, a little creative person to generate humor or carrot or stick or whatever to dissolve a situation. It is there. But primarily I feel leaders need this quality. You don't have to be showing yourself to be a monstrous leader and get things solved.
Yeah, of course. Even I want like a leader who is monstrous.
It is gone those days when they would sit on high pedestals and close their doors and think they are the queens and the king.
True.
Gone are the days. You have leadership now. They call earlier there used to be a pyramidal leadership. Leader sits here.
Yeah.
Everybody is lesser mortals.
That's true.
sitting down and an isolated leader.
Now it is all together.
it is straight line
Flat.
leadership.
Yes.
Wherever you are sitting, everybody is with you.
All of them
So
on the
you-
same platform.
So who's a
That's
leader and who's not? Everybody
Who's
is a leader. Trust me, and it works so well.
Truly. Yes, I absolutely agree. Okay, so what do you think are the areas of constraints of school heads in India?
Yeah, good question. Again, it differs for me from the 4 zones and
Yeah.
regions that I came from.
Yeah. But no, we have a centralized education system.
Yeah.
So what do you think, those, if you think in
Constraints.
those lines,
Constraints.
what are the constraints?
There are 2 kinds of constraints. Once you have immediate constraints which affect you from school to school or from region to region, and one is the bigger constraints which come from a body,
Yeah.
like the board or a body which controls the entire education system.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about the first, the immediate, the close ones, the nearest one which constrains you, and that is the management. In my west, east, and of course north, I did not have faced that constraints as I face in the south. There's a different approach of a management here vis-a-vis the other 3 regions that I faced. Very different approach. The approach is, I'm watching you every minute, right? Whereas there it was, I watched you, I understood what you are, my trust is in you. All right, I leave you now.
That's it.
Work, and I have full trust in you. Whereas here, I will never have trust in you even if you are 20 years with me. I think that's my opinion. I may be wrong, but that's my opinion because I've been in a couple of schools also.
That's
out here. So that trust factor here vis-a-vis elsewhere between the immediate management and all is not so well developed here.
Okay.
So therefore, to win the trust, if you have to do something, you have to do as an independent person. You have to do with your thinking, with your experience. Now, if the trust is not there, it makes it a little more difficult to carry on certain things and then say, trust me, it works. Leave it to me. I'm
No,
going to sort it
sometimes
out.
that also happens, if the trust is not there, you keep doubting yourself, you start doubting yourself. Did I do
You
it
start,
right?
exactly.
Isn't it? And that's a
Is it me
precarious
who's
situation.
wrong? But when you know inside you are not wrong because
Yeah.
it has worked here, there, and there.
That's right.
So why is it not working here? It may be not yourself. That
That's
time you want
right.
to think
That's
that
right.
it is not me, it's the other side.
Correct.
So I feel that has to be loosened out a little, and well, it again comes from various thoughts, schools of thoughts. The constraints I find is from the board itself, from the bigger authorities. There I feel personally, it's a huge area which you can't simply say we should do this and we should do that and all. I know the board that I am working with in all these years, that is the Central Board of Secondary Education, has really worked in order to relieve the stress on the kids in terms of adopting the CCE model, continuous and comprehensive evaluation in terms of that. But I also still know at the same time that these models in policy are very good. But fact is that it is not adopted in the right way. It is just not adopted. It's such a distortion that's happening, and how much can that board control the millions of hundreds of schools that are around?
But then don't you think that if they have a centralized place where the trainings happen, instead
Yes.
of
Yes.
outsourcing the training to various
Absolutely.
agencies, it can be controlled to a certain
But now
extent?
they've called off the outsourced.
Yeah.
Because I think they must have realized that
Yes.
it's not working.
Yeah.
They have the centralized training. But the people who are training, trust me, I have been on the consultative committee to get a change design. This was last year in October.
Okay.
I was one of the consultants for the CBSE because they're bringing in about a change. So they brought a lot of principals together and said, let's see what we can change here.
Okay.
There I found the people who are now the trainers of the trainers are also with a mindset which is still not open. We had a debate there of CCE in this consultative committee meeting of NCERT, where CCE itself was not known to the trainers. Now, before we began with whether we change this or how do we adopt it, before we began this, we found that the meaning itself is so different between how you perceive CCE and how I perceive CCE. So I thought to myself, if these are the people who are going to train, and what kind of training will they talk about CCE? Continuous and comprehensive evaluation. They will talk only about the way they thought it. So this is a radical transformation. It requires a paradigm shift in the thinking of entire place where this has been adopted. I know it's a marathon task, It's not simple. It's easy to blame somebody and says the board is not doing anything about it. The board is doing a lot. But it's a massive task. It's a massive task to bring about this. So whereas
Because I think that mentoring also, when they have told that they
Yeah.
mentor, I think that the actual idea behind mentoring is very good.
yes,
Very good.
Yes.
But how it is happening is a different question altogether.
mentoring is not criticism, for example.
Exactly.
It is a critique, not criticism. But here it's perceived as criticism.
Criticism.
The more I criticize you and tell you how bad you are, the better it is. But it's not meant for that. Mentoring and coaching is a method of telling you and drawing the best out of you so that you can put it in. But it is not used that way. So now, from CC, you go to mentoring and coaching. So you had better be well armed with mentoring and coaching. Before mentoring and coaching, maybe 10 more deliverables which are not right with the person. It's a massive, massive mindset change. So I cannot blame the bigger bodies that, but the fact remains that sometimes when I'm with principals or people which are decision makers, I find the decisions are unclear in their heads. What is that clarity that they would be spreading is a question of a debate.
But
So
do
if
you
you talk
see
about,
hope?
yeah, hope is always there. The very fact that you could bring out such a massive transformation from nothing to something called CCE is itself a big, it's a big jump, it's a big leap. And now it's a question of how soon this gets translated to different areas. And there, it's a matter of time. People have accepted now. Now CCE, we can't do without it. It is there. At least if they know the name, CCE, it's good. One thing I'll tell you about that is E part. It says evaluation.
Evaluation.
Now, we are so focused on evaluation that we have forgotten that before we evaluate anything, we have to first teach that way.
That's right.
That's forgotten. You teach whichever way you want to teach, but evaluate that way.
Evaluate.
Now, again you start
So the
out
focus
on
has
the-
become more on the assessment part, not on the teaching.
punish them. Let's do a little examination. It's so exam oriented. This was meant for taking out exam, but you're bringing that again in a different way.
True. Different.
In a different way. So that I think is a constraint. That is the bigger constraint I was talking about. And the smaller ones are your immediate people. Where you want to bring in this kind of shift, you want to bring in that kind of change. But I said, no, I think we should do that because remember IIT at the end of the day. So those are immediate ones which you can, which is I think easier than the bigger one.
Okay. So now the very important question comes now.
Sure.
Can you share a few instances where you think you were challenged in your role? The challenge can from the management or basically what I want to say is from the teachers whom you are leading.
Of course, I know that there are so many of them. Alright, I'll begin from challenge from a parent first. This happened almost at the beginning of my career. This happened towards 1987, 88, when I shifted, as I said, from Mumbai, where I was a lecturer, to first time in a college, in a administrative management area. So in a school, I was in the Birla schools. Again, I'll come back to a little bit of genetics, genes, and the outside factors. I think I was basically, a leader. I think. Now when I look back on the way I have been behaving, or the way I have been picking up things, I think I was a leader. Maybe I had certain little fundamental qualities. So when I joined this Birla school to be a principal there, I was pretty young also, but at the same time, I joined there, and a year passed, and I picked up the threads very fast. And there was a parent, I still remember this instance. The parent came and he said, there was this children who we used to never fail, I never liked failing. But then there was one child who had no idea what to do. Something like 8th standard, I still remember that child. Though I had nothing against the child, very nice child, but the teacher said, we don't know. It's something where the child would repeat, would be better, and then the child would pick up. So we all made a decision finally, okay, let's give the child another chance for this. I didn't know that the very next day, the father of the child comes to my office. And I had a glass table, I still remember. And he comes to my office and says, Mrs. Razan, you know what you've done? I said, what exactly? Tell me, introduce yourself. So he said, I'm so-and-so's father. I said, yeah, please sit down. He said, no, I'm not going to sit down. You don't know what you've done. You have failed my child. How dare you do it? And I said, no, I'd like you to sit down because I'll explain to you. It's not failing, it's about... He said, I don't want to listen to all your gimmicks and your jargons. He told me the same thing. Are you going to pass? Do you know who am I? He tells me. That's the first time I encountered this parent, dominance. Who am I? I said, I don't know who you are. Maybe I am he was some MLA or parliament member, and there was this place in Kolkata which is called Nizam's house, Nizam's palace, which I didn't know much, so I thought it's a Nizam's palace, but it happened to be ministerial offices. He says, I am there from the Nizam's palace and I've come here, and you don't even know what you're talking and whom you're talking and what you're done. Then I felt a little offended. I said, sir, with due respect to who you are, I don't know who you are. But the fact remains that your child needs another year, despite of where you come from. He says, you don't understand it. He took his hand and bang, bang, bang on my table. It cracked. It cracked my glass table. So the first time I was inside scared, but I didn't show it outside. I got up from my seat. I said, if you don't mind, sir, move out. I called my security guard before you crack something else in their room. And when I said this to him, he turned around and says, are you being so rude to me? You don't know how to talk to people? He put the blame back on me and he walked off. In around 5 minutes time, those days we used to have a system called fax. Now it's all obsolete. So fax came in another 5 minutes time I'd like to talk to you, and this was from the Mr. B.K. Birla himself, who was in Delhi at that time. I want to talk to you, what happened? Oh, I said, my God, it has reached the Birla's school. I was, there. And in 2 minutes after the fax comes a call from Mr. Birla himself on my phone. Yes, sir, good morning, sir. Mr. Raza, what happened? There's this person, he's a good friend of ours, and he says you are very rude to him. So that's when I said, you want to believe there, you want to believe me, you want to believe me, you listen to me. He said, yes, tell me. I said, this is what he did, and I got proof that there's glass broken on my table, and that he threatened me and said, you can't fail the child. So if you want to pass, I'll pass the child. The fact is that the child is not eligible. So that's what he did, and he banged the table, and on the contrary, he's saying this. You know what he tells me? Mr. Birla tells me, don't worry, Mrs. Razan, what you did is the right thing, and he put the phone down. My first confidence came from there. I said, wow. And I felt like, million-year-old after
that's
that.
What,
and immediately, that gentleman must have been told, God knows, whatever, he never showed me in the face. I got my glass table repaired. But fact remains that my confidence shot up by an encounter by a parent and the encounter by the management. That was one. I had another encounter, many of them, but one which happened recently with the teachers, where I am trying to put, this is one, complete one side of the story, see the other side. Here I am trying to put a lot of, extracurricular activities in the kids of 11 and 12, and I'm having a lot of resistance from the teachers saying, 11 and 12, you see those kids are bad, they don't know how to behave themselves. I said, you don't know how to behave, you don't know how the kids are elsewhere, you are angels out here. Let's take, we will not take them to any tours, we will not take them to anything, they don't know how to behave, they will not do anything out there, so only study, study and study. There was a big hue and cry with our management, and the management tells me, Radha, I think, why are you pampering the kids? The word was pampering. That's where I got a bit hurt, and I said, if you call this as pampering, I think we need to know the real. So I had a little brush, that was my big, huge, I would say, what should I say? It was a challenge where I had to convert these people who called playing basketball or singing or dancing as pampering, or taking them for a tour as pampering, to converting them to saying this is not pampering, because they got this, that's why they became a topper also. They became a topper also. So I thought, then I used that when they became a topper from the same pampered group, I used that as a mechanism to say, now you tell me. If he was so pampered, he wouldn't be topping around. He would have been by now, nothing, he would have been failed. But do you understand now the essence of anybody who can do this well can also do everything else well? That is the rule of the game. That if you can balance your life with this, that and the other, you can do it. If you can't balance, you become imbalanced. You're only playing. You're not studying. You're basically imbalanced. You need to get your balances right. So it's not that by exposing them to this, that it imbalances them. So I proved my point, and I was so happy. The same teachers who are kind of, up and arm saying, I think you're not giving us time. Every time they're going for practices and all. The same teachers finally said, I said, now when the glory is there, the paper and name is there, how do you feel? It's good. So this child has got glory, but same child once upon a time, you all had, that was another challenge. That was from the inside people itself.
So at this point, I want to share something because I have a challenge, right away. There's this particular child in PP2 and claims that the IMA, the headmaster, has actually pinched the child. And the child goes back home and tells the parents that look, this is what has happened and I don't want to go back to school because I'm scared. So the father comes, puts this across to the coordinator, and I overheard the discussion. It was a little heated now. So I intervened and I told that, come on, tell me what it is. So he said, no, this is what it is. So once he completed the discussion, immediately what I did is I looked for the child. I got the child, just by the way, and then I took the child along with me and said, tell me what happened. No, this is what happened. The IMA pinched me. And I said, why did she have to do that? No, I think that because I was not forming the line, that's why she got a little annoyed and she did that. So who is that? So I just casually took him around all around the building and I said, tell me who is that? So very casually he said that no, these are not the IMA, that IMA, I am not able to locate that IMA. So fine. So I got him back to the to my office, and that's when the parents also started coming in. No. Actually, they were kind of intimidated that I am taking the child around. So they came to me and said that no ma'am, what if the I said please wait, let me just talk to the child, let me understand
my way of
resolving it. But they were not very happy with that. So they started interfering in between. So what I said is, okay, please go back home along with your child, let me see what it is. So I called this IMA, and as far as I know the IMA, the track record of the IMA is totally clean.
They identified the IMA?
Yes. Finally he could.
Okay.
So when all the IMA started coming in one by one, he could. I said, at that point I told that, no, please take the child away. There's no need for the child to be here.
Correct.
And to listen to all that we are doing. So this IMA, I was a little bit surprised because as far as I know the IMA, she has no track record of it. And she's a very soft-spoken lady. So the first reaction was that when I told that, why did you have to do that? I didn't even ask her, did you do it or not? I just said, why did you have to do that? And she immediately started crying and said, no, I didn't do it. And you can understand, right, when a person is saying it with so much of confidence that, no, I have not done such a thing at all. So I started inquiring with the other teachers, coordinators, and either, did you ever find her like that? They said, no. So I wrote back to the parents saying that, I heard from your side. I heard from that other lady also. And I believe both of them. I believe your child because your child has no reason to lie. And I believe that I am also because she has no reason to lie either. So listening to both of them, what I want to do is, first of all, to make sure that I have heard your child, I remove the IMA from that floor altogether and put her somewhere else where they will not meet each other at all. But the parent is not at all happy with the decision, and it's like that, you have to remove that lady. So in such a case, now what do I do? I just want to know what is the decision I should take.
No, I think let me just tell you a little bit of lateral thinking. Is that there are children we have encountered in our profession which show sometimes hallucinations, which show things which are not really happening, but then they imagine things. You've seen this. This is a kind of a small childish talk, childish method, which comes out in some children, not in all. So it's a psychological factor, which I think you have to tell the parent that sometimes children imagine, and the parent doesn't know. What you have to tell them is, you have handled as a parent one child, maybe two. We have handled children, thousands of them over the years. We know certain things which come out in children in certain ages, in certain kind of kids, not all. And that's exactly what we're trying to do. So there are children, sometimes they imagine.
That's
they
the age
imagine
also.
that I think she just did once to me and therefore she came, and that imagination becomes so strong afterwards that it almost becomes a reality for sometimes the child. The child grows up, these things also stop, or sometimes stop happening for
But
them.
the parent is not ready.
Now
to
they're not ready,
anything.
obviously,
They're
because
not
then you have to put your foot down and say, if you cannot understand imagination, if you cannot understand our our experience over the years dealing with children, child psychology and all, then you just cannot believe on one child. You have to wait for another opportunity.
That's right.
If you feel
That's
that
right.
there's another opportunity of something similar happening or something else happening, we are going to look at that time also see is it really imagination or is it reality? And it will never happen, because by removing an ayah, tomorrow the child has something else, then remove another person.
That's
Then
right.
it has something, the teacher, then remove the third person. That's not the end of the story. And with that, if the parent agrees, fine. Does not agree at all, then they have another school to
School
go.
to go.
Very simple. But they can't put this. This is a very dangerous trait.
That's right.
That
Even if
if
the
it is
Ayamma
true-
has done something,
is
let's
true,
say
yeah.
that she has done something, but she deserves another chance.
exactly. If
She
it is
deserves
true,
another chance.
then also
Huh.
the person has got the message.
Correct.
It will never happen again,
That's
because
right.
they all know that so much of
Yes.
inquiry happened.
Yes.
If it is not true, which is quite a possibility, then we have done the wrong thing by removing the Ayamma. So you can't. So you have to tell them, I'm the person in action. I'm the person who's going to decide. And it's not you. You are just one. I've got thousands. So therefore, I have bigger stakes in me than you have in you.
That's right.
So you have to wait. If you still feel that you just can't wait or you can't, take a
Yeah,
chance,
then you have to take
then
a
I
call.
think you have to take another chance, because we can't upset our balance of there will be
That's right.
110 things with us. You mean to say that we can't run this way at all?
I got my answer. Yeah.
No, I had similarly two parents. The latest one, this happened just 2-3 days back. Two teachers come to me who went to the headmistress of my school, and they argued about a book, a book which is a math book, which they said, why did you put this book? We don't want this book. Just see various kinds of mentalities. So the headmistress tried to explain, but they just were in no mood to listen. And they said, you don't know her, and they were very, very rude with her. She picks up the phone, she says, I've got two parents here, two ladies, who are not refusing to listen. Ma'am, what should I do? You want me to send them to you? I said, well, if you think I'm an expert in dealing with that, send them. So they came. I said, yes, ladies, what can I do for you? So the first little bit of humor as I use again, just tell me, I think you people are very much distressed, my headmistress, I said. So a little smile came to their faces first. Then they said, no, madam, I just come to the point. The point is that this book, it's a math book of fourth standard. And we don't think it's a good thing that you are done by putting this book on. So I said, now how do I handle it? Rather than saying, no, I done a really good thing. I said, madam, can you first introduce yourselves to me? Please tell me what is your name, qualifications, your expertise in saying what you are saying. And then I think I'll really, really appreciate that, you're the right person. So one of them said, I will not say, but first let her say. The one who was talking most. The one who was quieter said, I will not say, first let her say. The let her say lady said, well, I'm an MSc in physics. I said, after that, yeah, very good. I said, oh, very, very qualified. Are you a teacher? Are you a practicing teacher? He said, no, I'm not. I'm just a parent. I'm an MSc in physics. I said, you're talking about math of the fourth standard? Because your child is there? Yes, see, we used to have MS Agarwal and we used to have RS Agarwals and they used to teach so well and all. I said, do you know which century you're talking about? Okay? And do you know that there's something called practical labs in mathematics now which we have to use? Not now, I would say some years back.
Yeah.
But if we had not used earlier and if they were not using it because of conventionalism, now we are breaking that. Now they're going to use math with a lot of hands-on. She says, you have a math lab? I said, not me. Every school has a math lab. And now if we were not doing it, now we are doing it.
Yeah.
I said, by the way, does your MSc physics tell you something about math lab?
Yes.
She said, no, I don't know what you're saying, but I still feel so her language was getting diminished. I could see that it was sloppy. I said, look lady, I said, don't comment, you might be successful in commenting it to somebody else, but as far as I'm concerned, you are talking about a particular point. I am talking about the bird's point of view. It's a holistic approach.
Yes.
We are looking at not only this, but that. And you are looking at a bookish book which is dealing with only a syllabus and not a curriculum.
Right. That's not
a curriculum.
Not a curriculum.
Syllabus.
Yes.
She said, what's the difference? I said, that's exactly what I'm trying to tell you. If you don't know the difference between the two, you are coming to debate on a book with us. You mean to say we just like the book, cover of that beautiful, lovely pages, let's take it. That's the way we take a book. Don't you think we do any analysis?
Yes.
So I think it was a nice little baggage that she got back from me. Nicely, nice humorous way. I said, in future, before you ever enter my office, or my headmistress that you do, the other one never opened up. She was just quiet throughout. I said, see, just before you open your book, remember your mouth also.
Yes.
Do a lot of homework. And
Homework, that's right.
okay, don't come to any authorities of this thing, which you might have got used to up to now. Do homework, all proper homework, and then you open your mouth. Okay. Now I think, are you justified with why we chose this book or any other book? Yes, ma'am. I think I'm fine with it. I said, if I was in your place, I would have gone and apologized to my headmistress, who's very distressed because you have distressed her. I said. So she went out. So I'm just saying, it was a dissolution of her. She was very, very, that so much so that she had to pick up a phone and tell me, I just can't handle two, hysterical women to tell me why you got this book.
It happens.
Now this I would have dealt differently when I was 20 years old. I mean earlier. Possibly experience teaches a little
That's
bit, how to handle people. And
True.
I went completely tangent. I said, let me know your qualification and your expertise before you're talking to me on something. I like to know because I'm an expert. So you're
That's
telling
right.
an expert. You tell me what's your expertise. That dissolved a lot. Maybe you can use something similar to this parent.
I know.
Just let them come back to that brass tacks to say,
That's
but
right.
what authority are they talking about something
That's right.
which is the higher dimension of learning? We're not here because we wanted to be here and suddenly we got a one mind, say how to be the principal of a school.
I know.
You have come here because of certain qualifications, learning, experience.
That's
And
right.
what about that in the other person? Just one parent he has been, that's all.
Correct.
And he's using
And
that
just again,
against
one
this.
child who is just
Yeah.
5.5
Because
years
I'm
old.
talking as a parent and here you're the mother hen
That's
of thousands of kids in and out.
kids.
Is that this and this comparable? Unless the person there is completely devoid of any emotion, that's a different matter.
That's right.
But if a person is in the right senses and is heading, you cannot just tell them what are you trying to tell as an expert.
So, what is your approach to those team members who disagree with your directives?
I use my experience as a weapon. I use that, and I also use systems where I put them in place before they even approach a disagreement. A disagreement arises from either lack of knowledge or too much of knowledge.
Okay.
Too much of knowledge is on the other side, and that too much of knowledge is very technical and it has no heart and soul in it. Whereas we are using heart and soul also in our profession. So I would even qualify that as lack of knowledge.
Okay.
So I would put them in the place by first of all making them understand where you stand vis-a-vis where I stand. And I use this technique, what are you? What's your authenticity to talk to?
Talk to.
So this, I think this itself, when they see a person with little experience with elderly, this, that and all, I think it makes a reason. Maybe it doesn't work for a very young person. Maybe. The young person talks to an elderly person and says, hello, tell me who you are. Maybe it may not be, it may be counterproductive. But so age has an experience, your factor, your personality, how do you deal with that? Has this, the overwhelming behavior of the person, it gets resolved when you say it in the way with authority, with your experience, with your authority, with your confidence.
With your confidence.
Half the matter is solved with that. And then I think the rest half depends on either sometimes like you can accept, obviously I accept many times that there is a flaw. But that's when I know after a lot of probing and scratching and this, I find there is a flaw. I have no problem in saying sorry. I apologize. Sometimes on behalf of a teacher I say, I'm sorry, I'm apologizing you on behalf of her. But then make sure that it will be done.
That's right.
So when that confidence gets developed, that okay, she can apologize as well as she can
That's right.
confront.
Yeah.
Both are equally good for the child eventually. The child is the center of our
Yes.
attraction.
Yes.
There is nothing else that matters.
That's right. So, how do you manage to deal with highly demanding parents? I think you have already given.
I think yes.
you have
yes.
already answered
lot of examples
that.
I gave.
Yeah. So there are also this taken things how share a few instances where you successfully resolve conflicts with parents.
Oh.
I think that was also answered.
Absolutely. Became a 2-in-1.
Yeah.
Or buy one get one free.
That's right.
Made it there.
I think that terminology suits. And then, so what is your idea about leaders being considered as lifelong learners?
My idea, I don't know, I would say I would say that's the philosophy we have to live with.
Okay.
That you are a lifelong learner. If a person thinks that they have got XYZ qualifications and that's the end of it, then I think they're dead people. They just have living bodies. but you pick up from every situation every day. And my little granddaughter, for certain things she teaches me so subtly, which I have not learned myself through those ages. And the certain things we go outside and meet somebody teaches you certain technical things. How do you handle a mobile? I was using it like this, but people use it like that. Oh, that seems to be nice. Every day you are learning. Every minute depends on also how much you can imbibe. If you are shut yourself and telling yourself I'm the best, and the best is fine, still fine. But at least keep on opening and say I'm the best. I'm the best. That's not a problem. But I'm the best with the doors closed is a very, very dangerous situation. You have to learn from each and every day situations. It's not about a philosophy, it's a reality of life. And I think that increases your emotional quotient, increases your ability, because whatever you are learning, remember your brain is embedding that learning. It's a memory. Memory is nothing but embedding of various bytes and bits of matter that comes. So when you have to use that, suppose you are in a situation where you don't know how to react, you get it from your memory. Because that thing which was there that day, I learned it, and so now take it out, and now it comes out, and it gets used. So you use that memory for this incident, this memory for that. It's useful to you as well, the learning. It's not about only academic learning.
Then it becomes a practice as well.
It's an automatic thing. And when you have certain experiences, you found that day, I saw that one doing that, and that sounds nice, let me try it. And when you try it, it works. What is it? It's your bank out here, which is bringing all the experiences out. You have to refill the bank each and every time with your experiences to put it in. If you're closed, your bank is closed, then you're short of any experiences which can do any situational process.
Okay. That's right. So how do you keep yourself updated?
The earlier years I was something else, and now it's different. Maybe because of your passage of time and you're growing older and all. Now I'm still very, very, very open to workshops, trainings, anything, anywhere, and I love it. I love it. I just want to go. Not that I don't know the thing. I know 90% of the things we know. But it's a workshop or a training is something where you presume there's a glass surface and there's a lot of dust fallen on it. You know what is there, but it is dusty.
Yes.
It just clears that dust, and you can very clearly now see that what's a workshop or a training does for you. So I always feel any workshop, be it something that I know also, you do it and say, I can now take it like this, I take it in a very positive sense. It kind of clarifies your objectives, number one. Number two is, I need rejuvenation. My kind of rejuvenation, which it comes with workshops and trainings. Your daily routine life of getting in the morning, ringing the bell, then you going, it's the break from your routine also.
That's right.
That routine
that's
break,
very important.
Very important.
Very important.
It's a rejuvenation
I
process.
do realize it.
When you, in a workshop and a training or a seminar, at our level now, we don't only go for workshop purpose, we also go for networking.
That's right.
Remember, in our profession, networking is a very, very important thing. You don't just learn, you also network with people.
That's right. I think that's an area where I am totally lacking.
Networking.
Yes,
you
I do.
Put yourself. Networking is a very important piece in administration. You must know, even from the peon, the dharman, to the CEO, to anybody, you need to connect to people. Now, how will you connect?
That's right.
You connect only when there are these get-togethers, meetings, workshops, seminars. You connect with people. When you connect with people, and the time comes when you need them, that's how the connections operate.
Right. That's right.
And you don't need them only for personal reasons.
No,
you need them for even professional
reasons. It's a more importantly professional reasons.
Both ways they help.
Yes.
Personally, if you are a little more intimate with the person. Professionally, if you are less intimate, but they'll help you professionally. So networking and clarifying your objectives is one of the main reasons for a workshop.
But at this point, I want to ask something. It's a similar kind of a situation which I shared with you. So I have a problem and I'm not able to take a decision whether be it a teacher or a student or a parent. Do you think that asking for help at that time, that if you are in such a situation, what would you do?
Yeah.
Helps?
Yeah, but I think remember one more thing. First, analyze the person whom you're asking. If you're going to ask a person who is of less demeanor than you, you get a wrong answer. which may not fit your thinking.
Okay.
Try to ask person who fits your style of thinking.
Hmm.
That you would know if you have a reservoir of people now. If you have 10 people, then you can tic-tac-toe and find out, okay, I think A doesn't fit, B doesn't fit, but C I think fits my bill. D, E, F fits my bill. You have 2-3 people, then you know they can be my best, compares, and they can be my best guides. But if you have only 3 people, or only 2, or only
You have a
1,
choice.
then you have to depend on that one,
Correct.
which may or may not give you the desired. So that's why it's required to have a network of people and put them as reservoirs for your own self, built up on that networking. No matter how much we are in a profession, every profession has this, not only teaching or this thing, but every profession has, in their areas of operations, you have to have a network with similar kind of people.
Okay.
Then you find that none of them are competitive. We always say we are in competition with each other, but we are not. Technically speaking, if you are strong inside, you work on your methods, nobody can be in competition.
That's right.
Neither are you in competition. Because you know you're the best.
Correct.
If you're the best, you can go to any place with nothing around you, you can still work and operate and still gather the momentum which you could have done in a 5-star situation.
That's right.
You know the best. So if you have confidence in doing the best, then you operate from there. But even for that, I'm networking with the best, with the worst, with the least. You never know which situation can come across your way.
And who is going to help you in
And
what
who's going to help
situation?
you. Can have all
That's
kinds of
right.
situation coming here, where X cannot help you now. This time Z can help you,
Yeah.
because that Z has faced that situation. But use your ultimate judge is yourself. Take, do networking. So that's what which rejuvenates me also.
Okay.
And I feel the other is now I've gone towards spirituality now.
Yeah.
Now I've gone towards spirituality in the last couple of years, and I find that is a very good teacher. It's a wonderful teacher.
You have a lot of
So,
reflection.
yes, reflection time, inner time, and then I realized that we have a lot of time in our hands, but somehow we always keep on saying we don't have time. And this teaches you that you have time, even if it's 10 minutes in a day. How much time it takes? 10 minutes, of course we have. And then when it calms you, trust me, your efficiency grows. So I find spirituality is my next teacher nowadays, and I start bending towards that. And I find no matter what you say in terms of degrees or in terms of experience, academic, there's something higher power which is within you, which has to also be revived, which has to be fueled, and that's spirituality. The emotional quotient grows. So I'm now bending towards that, and I find that's my next source of
Stability.
yes. A lot of answers I get, which I was not getting earlier, even from my networking. I get a lot of answers. Answers to my anger management, answers to my conflict management. I get from this, spirituality. When it's not that somebody tells me, God comes and says, hey, don't do this, not like that. But when you are clear in your head, when you're at peace with yourself, I get a beautiful answer. Suddenly it comes from somewhere.
Actually, that's very true. When you're at peace with yourself, you
But how
will
to be with
always,
peace?
get the positive. The thinking also happens in a positive way.
And then there's clarity. Suddenly there's clarity.
And there's-
And then how do you be at peace with yourself? You can't suddenly say I'm at peace with myself when I'm not really. So you need a little bit of spirituality to get you into a peaceful state. Very important for our kind of profession again. We're dealing with all kinds of minds.
That's right. And that's what you have to deal with.
All
minds.
kinds of minds. You have to calm yourself.
That's it. The mind
And how
has
do you
to
do
be
that?
totally calm.
Spirituality. It's not about God and religion, it's about spirituality, calming you down. So that's my next.
So that's something, some area where I have not touched yet.
Try it out. It's
Right.
wonderful.
Yes,
Work.
yes, I think I should. So, given a chance, what reforms would you like to initiate in the CBSE system to facilitate effective leadership at school levels?
I would say, but this would be a very layman statement, I would say that give autonomy to the schools.
Okay.
Give autonomy to them. If you find a school is good enough, reached its pinnacle of success,
Yeah.
is old, is experienced, then you give autonomy for running that school. You can have a model, model where others can, also imitate and say, oh, this sounds nice, so even we can adopt. This is one, but this requires a lot of careful implementation. anybody can get autonomous and then suddenly lose all its systems. So there should be a periodic check on that. That's one. About the changes that I would want the CBSE to do this is that I think their education system within the educational body, the education system is slightly uneducated.
And no coordination
The
between
whole,
them.
absolutely.
But
How
this is what I
does
feel.
one tell them
Yeah.
is I fail to understand.
Correct.
There is an educational body is dealing
That's
with
right.
education, but the smaller microsystems within that are completely not educated. They are kind of laymen who are working, who do not know how to connect the small bits into a bigger body. The bigger idea, the bigger thing is very good, but the smaller micro
But do you
systems.
think the teacher who has been a practicing teacher, if they are promoted to those levels, they would
Yes.
understand much better?
Yes, because they have a live situation of what's going on. Many times papers are set by people who have no idea what school is like.
Also, they don't have idea what is the syllabus given.
Yeah, that's
So
what
we
I'm
have
saying.
to every now and then you keep writing
It
to
is
them
there.
that this is out of syllabus and the question
Absolutely.
paper is out.
Why
14
do they do
why
something
did
like
they
this?
say? And every year it is happening.
That's
Every
because
year.
your microsystems inside,
Hmm.
those who want to make a paper, what is the procedure
Correct.
for making, are so obsolete, are so uneducated that they don't know how to operate. Result is every year this is a problem in this. Anything you do, even filling up a form, to filling up something, to anything, any procedural steps in the system are all flawed. And the flaw is because I think when you tell them also, there is no understanding, there is no, kind of justification. No, it just goes. So there is a body, there is a paper, there is an examination, there is this, that's fine. That's a bigger, higher thought. But implementationally, at different levels, so I want that, if that could, there could be a huge paradigm shift in the whole,
vertical.
exactly, the verticals have to be changed in order to, or if not changed, at least they should undergo such kind of courses, to also
That's
understand and be more accountable for a system. Otherwise, it's simply a big body and that's it. One time they say you do this, we are putting stress on the child. I'm just saying, even philosophy is different. The other time, when they introduce something and then introduce some other subject and then you introduce something else and then they say reduce the stress on the child. What a contradiction.
That's right.
Example, giving you live examples, we are talking about reduction, fine. Continuous and comprehensive evaluation, fine. Then you introduce something called OTBA,
That's
then
right.
you introduce something
PSA.
called PSA,
PSA.
then you introduce something called something else, OTBA, PSA, ASL.
ASL.
Now ASL, assessment of speaking and listening. Assessment again.
Again, it's assessment.
Why are you not
That's right.
incorporating
In the
as
curriculum.
teaching?
And that's what, in the curriculum,
It
that nothing
should be
says
there.
it should be there right from grade 1. Then only the child will be, you can
You'll be
assess
able
the
to
child.
listen and speak.
That's right. And
There
that's
it
so
is
it's part
something
of the
more of
language
writing.
development. So
Exactly,
important.
Exactly.
But the curriculum doesn't say that.
Curriculum
That
is
it
not
doesn't
at
have-
all. Suddenly it tells them, I'm going to assess
That's
you.
right. Assess you.
It's so ridiculous.
Truly.
When we tell our teachers also, they go and assess them.
Correct.
Have they taught them first?
That's right.
This is a mismatch between
That's right.
forming a policy.
Even in that matter,
And
PSA.
Ah.
You are introducing
what
an
is the meaning
aptitude
of that?
test in 9th and 10th. Where have you taught? Where's
Where
the provision in the
teaching is
curriculum?
all lacking in the whole thing.
That's right.
That teaching has to be put in first.
That's right.
And then you assess.
Then only evaluate and assess and all that comes
It's
later.
the mismatch of thinking and saying. Operations
I think
are,
that's a very
we have to get these small little, I think they are
Yeah.
like wheels, which they connect with each other. These wheels don't have a little connection. The result is one is turning right to left, one is turning left to right. And then the whole thing is called a body.
And everybody is
So it's
dysfunctional.
like, though there is a name for something, but then internally the mechanism is gone bonkers. This is where I feel if I want to do something, I rather put these wheels first, align them, then they all turn left to right only,
That's right.
and then the whole thing becomes a uniform mass, which eventually will have sensible thinking.
That's right. And also with the government changing, I think that
Yes.
also has impact.
They have a
right?
lot of factors, they
Isn't
have a lot of politics,
That's
they're
right.
affecting them.
Yes.
But then that is a little external effect. Rest of these wheels, operational wheels, they don't require any politics or government. No. PSA, ASA, what is all this? Why are you putting these
That's
things?
right. And
When
that
you
in
are
that
one hand saying,
place where the child is already stressed out, that have a board exam to give
First
and
of
now
all, the teacher doesn't
OTE.
know.
And the teacher
the
doesn't know.
teacher is not a good listener, but is testing the kids on listening.
Listening.
What a facade.
God. That's
So
right.
I think that is where if I was given any opportunity, I'd rather change those mechanisms
That's
than anything else.
So, now what is your advice to novitiate students?
Uh, I think if you can summarize what our talks have been, that would, if you filter that,
I think one I get it.
if you
that
filter that,
sense of humor.
yes, you have to get the filtrate
That's
and the
right.
residue.
Yes.
The residue is that have confidence in yourself. There is no replacement to your confidence. If you know you're the best, you better be. With that confidence, everything else will come. With that confidence, everything. Sometimes the confidence does get shattered by certain instances from outside and inside. It does happen. But again, to come back to the confidence, there are all these are tracks to. So one is your spirituality, one is your humor,
That's
one
right.
is your well-being, one is your networking, connectivity. These are your pathways to get back to your basic. What is that confidence? You have to have. And if that is set in order, your vision also becomes perfect. You align, then your outcome also gets very, very aligned. Everything falls in place. But if that confidence is shattered once and it doesn't bounce back, then I guess then it was temporary confidence. One has to say, I want permanentness in myself.
That's right.
No matter what people talk about you or think, but if you have 2-3 successes, which you know they were time-tested successes,
Yeah.
then your confidence is doubled because then you know you're on the right track. So primarily confidence, secondarily humor, networking, spirituality. These I repeat again. These are all pathways to this one fundamental thing, and that's leadership. Confidence, leadership are synonymous with each other.
No,
And
if
you
you
asked
talk
a question
about-
earlier. Sorry, if you asked a question earlier, genetic or is it
Yeah.
outside? According to me, it's definitely now in this case both.
Yes, both.
Both. A lot of it is inside. and a lot
I
of
think
it
my
is
next
outside.
question is, sort of related to this. Do you think, as far as the principal is concerned, the school leader, education system, do you think that being a good person is important?
Yes.
Yes.
Why
Being
with a
good
capital
human
Y?
being. Yes.
Capital Y.
Isn't it?
Yes. Good human being.
You have to be a good human being. That's what I feel.
Yes.
Because this profession, as you rightly said, that it is not always about, your wheels to work together all in all alignment. You need to be a role model in that first. Isn't it? And you need
See,
to act
anybody
the goodness.
will say I'm a good role model. If I'm not a good human being,
Yes.
still I'll say I'm a good human
Yes.
being. By the way,
Yeah.
I'll say
Yes.
because I think I'm a good human being. What
Yes.
wrong have I done?
That's right.
But it should show. It should be a benchmark if you're a good human being. Please benchmark yourself in order to know, am I really a good human being?
Yes.
By just saying one doesn't really become. So get yourself measured. There are certain measurement systems. Even for being a good human, there are a lot of parameters to know that whether you're on the right track or not. Good human being or not a good human being is not the measure. The measure is, are you on the right track? If people have benefited by you, if people have got benefited by you, if people are in a win-win situation with you, if you are in sync with the ecosystem, outside system, if you are in sync with your own self, your mind, your family, your profession and all, then you're a good human being. I think these are the measurable parameters that you discuss. Otherwise, if there is a little bit of mismatch somewhere, I don't think you should call yourself a good human being in that case. You start fine-tuning some areas and become that first. The rest of the things are acquired. Competence, your ethics, your humor, these are all acquired. Good human being, that quality is something very, very fundamental to be a good leader.
And you need to be a lifelong learner also, as you said. And you
Yeah.
have to pick up things. from
All
everywhere.
these are picking up. You need
Yes.
to be an open person first to be a learner and anything else. So I think fundamentally be a good human being. You'll understand problems very fast that way, and you will also solve problems much faster than your own and outside. Both problems are solved. So I think you're on the right track. The very fact that you're interviewing, the very fact that you are getting on to betterment, I think are qualities of showing that I am on the right track.
Thank you. Okay, thank you so much, ma'am.
My pleasure.
Thank you for your time
My
and
pleasure.
for expertise.
My pleasure.
I'm sure it will benefit me and lot many people if I put on this. Lot many people.
As we
Lot
said, every day is a learning experience. So even I have learned today a lot of ways of how do you correct yourself, you know. I thought we are the best, but then again it's a learning experience.
That's well
Thanks to
said.
Suresh, he is taking that as a learning
That's right.
experience.
That's
Everything
right.
is a learning experience.
Anyway, thanks a lot, ma'am.
Bless you. Bless you.